With the demand for physical silver, is it time to buy, hold, sell, or trade?
Stacking Cat.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Stacking Kat channel. Hit that subscribe button if you'd like to see videos about silver with a little bit of gold. And if you enjoy what you see, then hit that like button and share this video. Okay, so here we are. Physical silver demand is through the roof right now, where we've seen premium skyrocket. We've seen inventories depleted. It's harder and harder to find on the online bullion sites. It's harder and harder to find at the local coin shops. It's just really becoming one of those supply and demand issues. And right now, demand is dominating the supply. So that brings all of us to the question that we have to ask ourselves. And that is it time to buy more silver? Is it time to sell some of your silver? Maybe hold your silver or trade it. And by trade it, I mean for gold or platinum or another precious metal that you want to add to your portfolio. And now I think that this situation is a little bit different just because of the scarcity of the physical silver out there. Because you'd probably say, hey, Stacking Kat, isn't it always those four things? You know, it's kind of like on a compass. Everything is either north, south, east, or west. It's just the same as buying, selling, holding, or trading your silver. Exact same thing. Everything really falls under those categories. There may be a little other nuance to take into account, but really everything is under the umbrella of those four things. So this is, I think, a good time to talk about it in this video. A lot of the times, you know, and I'm a huge advocate for just buying and holding, trading when the GSR, the gold to silver ratio, gets to a good point. Generally, I like to see it under 70. Currently, right now, we're sitting at around 64, 65, 66, depending on the time and the day. So we have that going for us if that is the route you're going to take. But I just wanted to go into some considerations you may want to make when it comes to physical silver. So let's get into it. And I do want to start out, though, by saying that I'm not a financial advisor. Remember, this is your guys' stack. Whatever you want to do with it is up to you. Don't let anybody influence you. Otherwise, you know, if you're a stacker, a collector, you are all doing this. We all have different motivations for stacking silver and gold. You know, we have basically the same general idea, right? That we're stacking, we're trying to save for the future. We're trying to find a safe haven to hedge against inflation. A lot of different, or just economic insecurity. So a lot of different reasonings, but we basically have the same ideas in mind. So just remember, it's your guys' stack. And I'm going to get into all four of these categories that I just mentioned. And I will kind of get into what I'm going to do as well as we go along. And so first I'm going to start with buying silver. Right now, the premiums are just so high, you know, because a lot of the bullion dealers are really in an unenviable task. They don't have the supply. They don't know when they may be getting it. Even if you're going to a coin shop and selling to them, there's no guarantee they're going to be able to resell it, you know, for any type of markup. So you have to take that into account when you are considering what these bullion dealers are going through. You know, I come from the consumer side of it, so I'm always, you know, trying to find the best deals. However, I do want to acknowledge that it is a difficult situation all around. And you've seen premiums really high, I think, because of this uncertainty. Now, there are still some decent deals you could find. You know, you could be going with some generic silver. You know, you could still find decent deals there on some of the sites, which means you might get like that U.S. Assay Office round or a Buffalo. But even those premiums are still in the $4 and above range, no matter what kind of deals you're going to find as of now. And then you have, of course, American Silver Eagles, and it's just not really a good time to be purchasing these. The premiums are just so high on them right now. I just don't see it as a worthwhile investment. You know, you don't want to be paying $10 premiums or whatever it may be. That's just too high. You're paying huge markups from where spot price is. So I would probably avoid the Eagles for right now if you are in that buying mode. Of course, you have the Canadian Maple Leaf. Maybe a little bit lower of a premium on these, but not enough to really justify, in my opinion, making that type of purchase as well. And of course, you have all this junk silver. These are just a bunch of half dollars, Walking Liberties, Benjis, JFKs, all that. And even I'm not a big fan right now of buying any junk silver either. Just the premiums on that is just too high as well. Usually you're getting this 90% for somewhere around spot, maybe like 50 cents to $1 over. But if you're paying like $7 or $8 over spot as it is for your 90% junk silver, that is just not a good buy, in my opinion. You know, I've given kind of all pessimistic outlooks on buying right now. I am pretty bearish on it. I will not be purchasing any silver right now. I want to see what happens with the market if things calm down. So I'm in a little bit of a holding pattern. I'll get into the holding aspect. Actually, let's go into the holding aspect right now. I'll kind of change up the order I was going to go in. So is it beneficial to be holding right now? And I would say if you have a decent sized stack or one that you feel that is pretty good, based on how your stacking goals are and how you've been going through them over the past year, couple years, whatever it may be, couple months, then I would say just hold. I mean, that's what I'm going to do at least. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor, mentioned that earlier, but I would suggest, in my opinion, to hold on to your silver right now is one of the ways that you want to go. I just don't see really any benefit in purchasing and adding to your stack. Price of silver could go up. The paper price right now we're in the 27s. It could go to 30 in a month or two. It could drop back down. You never know, but it's been pretty consistent where it is right now. And I just think with the prices, you're going to ruin your dollar cost average, I guess is the best way of putting it. So until those premiums really start resetting and adjusting to, I think, where we are, until the supply gets back in these dealers' hands, I am going to be holding my silver as of now. That is just one of the things that I'm going to be doing. Probably the main thing I'll be doing is holding silver. Now let's get into selling silver. And I'm going to kind of rattle through right here the 90%, because if you're going to sell, I would say the 90%, the junk silver, may be your best bet. Just because, like I said, you know, it's selling over spot for such a high price. You are probably going to have your highest ceiling, I would think, right now when you go to sell it back. Now, of course, I still prefer holding it. I will not be selling any of this junk silver. A lot of people are cash strapped right now, and there's some growing confidence in the US dollar that we've seen here on some financials in the last day or so. So maybe it is time to sell, diversify into, I don't know, a crypto, a stock, whatever it may be, or maybe you just need put some cash away. You know, we've seen in a few scenarios recently where cash would come in handy. It is still the only way of commerce here in this country. Now, I know some places take Bitcoin and all that, but you can't walk in with a American Silver Eagle to a grocery store and purchase your groceries, because if you could, first of all, it is BU, brilliant uncirculated, for a reason. It is not circulated currency, so they probably wouldn't accept it as it was. And anyway, the face value is $1. So even if they were to accept it, you're losing $27 on spot price alone right there. So, you know, cash is it. And, you know, that's just how it is. That's the system we live in right now. There's really no way you can get away from it. Of course, like you could sell, you know, that's the topic we're in right now. You could sell this stuff and get some of that cash, convert it into purchasing power, especially if you've been holding onto it for a long time. Maybe your dollar cost average is like $18 and you bought junk silver, you bought Eagles, Maples, generics, you bought all this stuff when the premiums were a lot lower. it's time to cash in a little bit, that might be a reason to sell. But I will not be selling any of this for cash unless it is absolutely necessary, or unless something happens and silver goes to like $100. And I just don't see that happening in the near future. Maybe one day, but as of now, I don't see that happening. So let's go to the final thing, and that is trading your silver. And so as you can see here in the display, I have some silver and I have some gold, and that brings us into our fourth and last option, which is trading. So trading some of this silver right here for some of this beautiful yellow gold. And you could kind of follow the gold to silver ratio as a guide for that. And that is the amount of silver that you trade by ounces for 1 ounce of gold. Now, it could work two ways. It could also work with fractional gold. I have a quarter ounce American Gold Eagle right there, which means you would have to trade less of this silver. Now, I do have the current ratio, the paper ratio, set up in physical metals. Now, when you go to trade, you're going to have to take premiums into account. Usually, you're going to do this at a local coin shop or maybe in a private deal. Doing it with the online bullion dealers will probably be a little more difficult. It'll be like a sell for cash and then buy type of situation. And so 65 ounces of silver right here. We have 2 tubes of American Silver Eagles, which are 40 total, and 1 tube of Canadian Maple Leafs. So that's 25. And that is 65 ounces of silver, which would equal one of these 1 ounce gold buffalo rounds. So that's exactly what the gold to silver ratio means. Now, you might not get this exactly. It's going to depend, like I said, on who you're dealing with. You might get a better deal. You might not. You might not be able to even find fractional gold at this point, just depending what your local shop may have in stock. So just another consideration, and this is one that I will be considering other than holding my silver, which is really my number one play right now. But if I do find a really good gold to silver ratio trade, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Like I just mentioned, the gold to silver ratio is hovering in the 65 to 1 range. We've seen gold drop a little bit in price. We saw T-bonds go up. I believe their yield is at 1.3% right now, as well as their consumer confidence. Consumer spending is up over 5% in January. The dollar is gaining strength because of those reasons. So usually when that happens, the precious metals suffer a little bit. I don't think it's affected silver as much as gold right now due to the physical demand, although we have seen the demand on physical gold rise too. Premiums aren't as high as the silver is, where it's anywhere from 20 to 30% markups. So you might be able to undercut the ratio a little bit, but it depends where you go. It's just, however, a play that I think is good to make right now. Just with gold down a little bit, it's not too bad. I believe they closed on Friday at a little over 1790. So it has dropped a little bit over the past month or so. However, silver's kind of maintained the same, but the demand is it's increased its worth exponentially, especially in the physical realm. So another option there is the gold to silver ratio trade, something that I'm going to be looking out for. I'm going to be trying to hunt these deals as best as I can. Okay, so a lot to unpack here when it comes to stacking silver, gold, precious metals in general. All 4 things you have to take into consideration and have in your mind at all times. When you get into stacking, it's usually at first, it's always about buying, right? You got to build that stack, but you should have an end date in sight when you're going to sell, whether that is when you hit retirement age, when the silver price doubles from when you purchased it, when your dollar cost average is at the level you want it to be. So that is something that you should think about. And if you've been stacking for long enough, you've probably already thought about that. Of course, there's always holding. Usually a lot of us are either buying and buying. and buying and maybe trading. The gold to silver ratio has been stuck in the 75 and above range. I usually like to get into it below 70, and 65 is just a great point, especially if it goes down a little bit more. Maybe we'll get some news coming out this next week and gold drops a little bit. Now, this is just my opinion. I do not foresee it going much lower than maybe the 1750 range. Remember, though, not a financial advisor, just my opinion. But I just, where it's been this past year, or at least the past 9 months, I don't see that happening. However, if the ratio gets even lower, trading's going to be a great consideration. So just something to think about there. Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching. And if you'd like to see similar videos about silver with a little bit of gold, then please subscribe and push that notification bell. Smash that like button and leave a comment. Let me know what you guys are going to be doing. Are you going to be buying, selling, holding, or trading? I'm really interested in reading about that. And until next time, this is the Stacking Cat.